Hello, and welcome to the trifecta. ClearChoice agents, managers, and executives win big with CXone and CRM Integration. I'm Lisa Hotchkiss with the Nice and Contact product marketing team. In this session, ClearChoice will share how they were able to improve their customer and agent experience, as well as their overall business results when they integrated their Salesforce CRM with Nice and Contact CXone. Our presenters from ClearChoice are Freddie Northrup, IT Manager of Patient Experience, and Sonia Villalobos, Administrative Manager of Management Services. They'll give us an overview of their company, the challenges they faced, and how CXone Agent for Salesforce helped every group across their organization. They'll also share their future plans and advice for anyone considering a CRM integration. Now I'd like to hand it over to Freddie.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Lisa, for the introduction. As Lisa stated, I'm Freddie Northrup. I'm the IT Manager of Patient Experience for ClearChoice Dental Implant Centers. ClearChoice as a whole is a dental implant provider for patients who are edentulous and in need of replacement teeth nationwide. We're actually the #1 provider of dental implants in the country, currently with 59 clinical locations that we're hoping to actually double by 2023. Our contact center is about 100 agents currently right now, but we're continuing to grow. Originally, prior to COVID-19, we had both on-site and remote agents, but since COVID-19, we have transitioned to an entirely remote workforce that currently handles about 3,000 inbound calls per day and about 1,800 outbound calls per day, all related to patients who are in need of replacing missing, failing, or broken teeth, or are looking to transition out of dentures into something that provides them with an increased quality of life. So we'll kind of get started here talking a little bit about, prior to integrating with Nice and Contact CXone, what were the challenges that we identified, and what were the challenges that we believe that we needed to correct to improve our business in terms of efficiency and productivity? And we started looking at it from 3 different categories: agents, operations, and marketing. So to start it off with agents, at that current time prior to integration, we realized that our agents had a lot of time-consuming and repetitive tasks that ultimately impacted productivity and slowed down, their workday. In addition to that, we didn't have a whole lot of support to allow agents to work from home, which was something that many agents desired to do. And in addition to that, we had limited access to personal performance stats. We had to go through long and arduous processes to identify agent stats and ultimately provide them with those stats. On the second side, operations. So we didn't have a good way of collecting call data, specifically the DNIS or the ANI. It just wasn't available without asking the patient, and sometimes that can be a little bit difficult to do while you're on the phone with them. The process that we had in place was extremely error-prone, meaning that with all the manual entry that our agents were doing, the likelihood of them accidentally typing something different was higher. And we also had difficulty pulling call recordings on a moment's notice if we needed to listen to a call. And then moving over to the marketing side here, we didn't have a definitive strategy to identifying potential locations for new ClearChoice clinical centers, specifically because we didn't have the data to support a lot of that decision making. And in addition to that, measuring campaign success was somewhat problematic when we couldn't identify how many calls we were getting from certain marketing campaigns, and we couldn't really identify the results of those calls either to determine their effectiveness. This led to kind of inconsistent success rates on new location launches. So stepping into integrating CXone with our CRM Salesforce. This was extremely instrumental in launching us to kind of new levels here, specifically with the ease and how we were able to integrate. The Nice and Contact CXone team was extremely helpful and walked us through the entire step of the way in terms of identifying what we need, what we want, what we're looking for, and how best to get there. Specifically, just having a consolidated desktop, agents not having to do a lot of searching. We were, given advanced routing that allowed us to route our high value interactions to higher skilled agents. And then, of course, our data was just automatically synchronized and extremely easy to access. So we'll talk a little bit next about some of the benefits. The benefits from an agent perspective here, as stated before, the automatic data syncing between CXone and Salesforce. This really helped us with less after-call work. Our agents didn't have to do a lot of the busy work that they were used to. The manual entry was eliminated to a certain degree. It also allowed us to improve efficiency with the CXone controls that we can access through our CRM Salesforce page. They're able to immediately identify what kind of call is coming through to get a better idea of what the purpose of that call might be prior to the person actually answering the phone. In addition to that, they could review the patient's record as the screen pops up, or if it's somebody new that's calling us, it would automatically create a patient profile, as we call it, that they can immediately begin working on. And then finally, just improved self-management, easy to access stats. The agents can review their metrics for call handling, as well as their supervisors at a moment's notice. Moving on from a manager's perspective, we noticed a significantly higher average speed of answer. With the ease in how the interactions work together, of the record popping up, the information all available right as the call comes in, the speed of answer increased because the agents had what they need. They didn't have to go searching for it. We also noticed lower average handle time, specifically because the manual entry was lower. They didn't have to do as much on the phone. They could really focus more on the conversation with the customer. We noticed that we had the ability to route our stronger leads to our more qualified in-house agents, meaning our most valuable leads were going to our strongest agents, utilizing the routing that was given to us through CXone. We also noticed a 20% increased occupancy with a simplified identification of skills for skill-based routing. So what that basically means is using the advanced routing system, we're able to reskill calls based on certain information in the Salesforce record. The call routing script would query our Salesforce and then reskill it based on logic that we applied within the routing script. And then utilizing the reskilled calls, we could route them to the agents that they needed to go to. And overall, that just reduced costs by we could actually identify some of our low priority leads and send those to our overflow contact center. And then from a marketing and sales perspective, so another thing that the integration gave us was data points that we previously didn't have surrounding the effectiveness of our marketing campaigns. Specifically, what is the result of certain marketing campaigns? How many calls are we getting? What kind of calls are we getting? Are they valuable leads? And then we can use that to guide our expansion strategy and marketing budget and improve return of investment on our media ads. we can utilize specific data points such as area codes or completed appointments to then target more high return areas. And finally, from an executive level here, and we had higher customer satisfaction. Obviously, with less manual input, we had shorter hold times. We were able to answer the phone right away, meaning patients were never sitting in our queue for a very long time. In addition to that, we can get them to somebody who is best skilled to help them, meaning the right call going to the right agent, and overall completing the request of the customer or scheduling their appointment with ease. And in turn, that increased our employee satisfaction. Things were simple. Our employees, we found, like more simple processes. They don't want to have to go to multiple different websites and do a lot of searching and a lot of manual entry. The more simple, the better. That way we can focus more of our time on our customers and driving results. And then finally, just planning. With all the additional information at our fingertips from NICE inContact being integrated with our CRM, we can really sit down and take a look at how do we want to identify new marketing strategies and trends. And then we can evaluate those campaign successes and start to develop best practices within our advertising. Some bonuses. As we know, we're in an interesting time these days with COVID-19 and the pandemic. When we were hit with our rules for our state here in Denver, Colorado, which is where our headquarters is, we had to quickly adapt and find a plan to bring our entire workforce to be remote or work from home. And prior to integration, that would have been a really difficult task that we may not have been able to accomplish with as much ease. But with the setup that we had from NICE inContact being integrated with our CRM and the different capabilities that were available to us, we were pretty much able to just pick up and set everybody at home, minus a few IT additions to computers and things like that. But it was overall very simple, and we were able to get right back on the ground running and make sure that our customers are being serviced, as well as our agents have all the same capabilities at home that they do in the office. In addition to that, simplified and sped up recording retrieval. Prior to CXone integration, it's really difficult for us to pull calls on a moment's notice. And when we're talking about a medical industry, sometimes being able to pull calls at a moment's notice is a necessity. So with the integration, we can push through a data point called the master contact ID into our Salesforce record. And that will keep track of every single call that's associated with that Salesforce record. So all we have to do is copy and paste the master contact ID from the Salesforce record into our call recording retrieval software, and we're able to immediately listen to that call. And then improve data analysis and insights. So with no additional effort, we can basically use the automatically created data points from inContact to really take a look at, where could we be improving as a business from a marketing perspective, but also from a contact center perspective. Do we need to route calls in a different way? Do we need to staff our agents in a different way? We have all the information that we need to continuously improve our contact center. So looking forward, we still have to yet to take advantage of some additional capabilities of integration here. And the first one is an integrated workforce engagement. So we do use a NICE inContact workforce management software to assign employee schedules and breaks, lunches, all of that sort. But we do have the capability to actually integrate that into our CXone agent for Salesforce as well. That way, the agent, again, prioritizing simplification, will be able to just use the agent for Salesforce for pretty much everything that they need and won't have to go to another website to check when do I need to go to this meeting, when do I need to go to the lunch, and what does my schedule look like for the week. And we also would like to use and take advantage of an integrated soft phone that actually will attach to the embedded agent for Salesforce on our Salesforce page, as opposed to using what we're using right now, which is a VoIP soft phone. No problem with the VoIP soft phone, but we do have to manage specific phone numbers and soft phone licenses that have to be kind of managed based on the computers that they're using. And again, to simplify things and allow as much versatility as possible, we'd like to use the integrated soft phone and eliminate having to manage soft phone licenses and phone numbers. So tips and lesson learned. If you're in a similar situation and looking to expand into integrating with CXone and your CRM, we have kind of some recommendations here. And I think number one is just spend time up front identifying key data points. You really want to know what you're looking for prior to integration to fully get the benefits out of it. Of course, there's, some things that you'll find along the way, but really having a plan in place to prior to integration really helps you once you kind of get down into doing the work and integrating. Number two, proactively identify and update your CRM data. So just making sure that your CRM is ready to go prior to integration will help you in the long run in making sure it's as seamless of a transition as possible. In addition to that, keep your software current. Make sure to take advantage of all the latest enhancements from your CRM as well as NICE and Contact. Every enhancement or update can provide useful tools that will help you throughout your time using the software. And then connect with your NICE and Contact technical account manager. This is somebody that is an extremely valuable resource and that can help take a look at your business unit and identify some potential updates or enhancements that you might not have thought about that can really kind of take things to the next level for your contact center. And then finally, ask your agents for feedback. We found that along the way in this process of just simplifying and integrating, that our agents actually provided the best feedback. They're the ones that are going to be using the software the most. They're customer facing. They're interacting with your customers and hearing things that we might not normally have heard unless they brought it to our attention. And, ultimately, when there's things that aren't going well, they're going to be the first ones to let you know. So being able to listen to them and keep them happy will also keep your customers happy. So here, moving forward, we will turn it over to Lisa for closing statements, and then we will open it up for a Q&A session to answer any questions that you might have, whether it be about ClearChoice, our integration process, or any of the current tools that we're using from NICE and Contact CXone.
Freddie, thanks for sharing your great insights and your advice. If you're interested in learning more about CXone Agent for Salesforce or any of our other pre-built integrations that we have for ServiceNow, Microsoft Dynamics, Zendesk, Oracle Service Cloud, Sugar CRM, SAP Cloud for Customer, NetSuite, or Bullhorn, please visit us in the CRM and UCAS booth or go to niceandcontact.com/CRM. You'll learn more about the benefits about each in specific pre-built integration, and there's lots of other resources there as well. So now we'll move over to opening up the Q&A, and you can enter your questions in the chat. Hi, so Freddie, we've got a few questions for you, and Sonia. Did you use a third party to set up the integration between Salesforce and NICE, or did you have in-house resources work with the APIs to exchange the data?
All right.
We actually have in-house resources. Sorry, Freddie.
No problem. Go ahead.
So we actually were lucky enough to have in-house resources. We also worked really closely with our technical account manager just to make sure that we had all of our information accurately represented on both APIs, just to grab that information correctly.
Okay. And can you explain like how long it took approximately?
I think the length of time was probably a couple of weeks, just to make sure that we had things live, especially in the sandbox, so that we weren't breaking things on the back end and interrupting service. So I'd probably say a couple of weeks.
Okay, thanks. Do you use Salesforce Chat at all? And if you do, how you import these chats into CXone?
So good question. We actually do not use the Salesforce Chat. We're using exclusively Google Meets and Google Chat for communication in between our department, but we don't have any forward-facing chat for our customers just yet.
Okay. Were you using Max before you moved to CXone Agent?
Yes, and we hated it. So we were super thankful that we had another solution.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think just to kind of build off that, the CXone agent for Salesforce, being integrated with our Salesforce page just makes things a lot more simplified. For instance, we don't have to go searching around for information. There's a lot of continued updates and capabilities there. So if you wanted to have your agents be able to track their schedules right then and there, you can kind of put that all in one place. So we found it just easier from a user perspective to just use the Salesforce agent.
Okay. Are you tracking call duration in Salesforce using the CTI data from NICE?
We are not currently doing that just yet. If you wanted to use the connected app, you could certainly kind of play around with what you wanted to see in Salesforce. But at the moment, we found it probably only necessary to import the master contact ID. A lot of our supervisors and managers spend a lot of time in the CXone Central, which is kind of the main page where you'll be accessing everything. So really just having the master contact ID for that conversation was all that we felt was necessary at this point in time.
Okay. Did you have any issues with people working from home and possible internet connection issues preventing call connections?
Really good question. So yes, in short, yes. I think possible internet issues, it's probably been the most challenging thing to overcome since having our entire workforce move to working from home. Everybody's network reliability is kind of varying depending on what kind of package they have, where they live, et cetera, et cetera. So that is something that we consistently battle. If you don't have a reliable internet connection, you're not going to be able to reliably handle calls over a VoIP soft phone. So certainly something that we work on, but for those who have not been able to provide a reliable connection, we've been able to help them out with hotspots that we've purchased. So that's been kind of our workaround for that, and it's been functioning quite well as well. So good question.
Okay. Is Max and the Salesforce.com agent that much different?
Yes.
I'd say for us, tremendously. I think it all depends on what you're really trying to accomplish. For us, we spend a lot of time in Salesforce. So the way we have it set up, just being able to pull up one of our patient records or automatically create a new record, already capturing specific data points specifically through the integration that we have with our call routing script is hugely beneficial for us. We're not having to manually enter different data points or go searching for things. It just makes it a lot easier. And of course, the agent has it right there, all in one location. So
Okay.
we certainly prefer that.
Are you using the classic Salesforce agent or Lightning Salesforce agent?
Good question. So we are currently still using Salesforce Classic. It's been working quite well for us lately, but with that said, we are looking at expanding down the road into Lightning. We've kind of already started the process, but haven't completely finished or rolled it out just yet, but that is the plan to move towards Lightning.
Okay, and just to clarify as well, the CXone Agent for Salesforce supports both the classic and the Lightning version as well, just in case anyone was curious about that. At the conclusion of the call, are you logging a call, creating a case? How do you decide which to do?
Oh, I'm sorry, the audio cut out there for just a moment, Lisa.
Oh, sure. At the conclusion of the call, are you logging a call, creating a case? How do you decide which to do?
So for us, we actually, in the way that we use Salesforce, cases aren't actually involved in our agent's workflow. So we do use the activity log to kind of track basically the history in the Salesforce record. However, if you wanted, you could set up your agent for Salesforce to do forced dispositions, and you could use the connected app to then push those dispositions into Salesforce if you'd like. But currently, that is one of our manual entries, is just the agent logging the call in the activity history.
Okay.
And just to add on that as well, every single call that comes into ClearChoice is logged, tracked, recorded. A Salesforce record of sorts is created so that we have knowledge and ways to pull data to ensure that every single call that comes in is accounted for.
Okay. What was your biggest challenge?
I think our biggest challenge was just getting the buy-in from our higher ups to make that transition over. And one of the other challenges was just making sure that we had the support that we needed from our IT department as well as our TAM to push forward with it. And those were small challenges, in all honesty. We had that buy-in after explaining the importance of having every call tracked, being able to account for certain marketing campaigns. And again, working with our TAM was important and it was crucial. And that's what made this whole process a little bit easier.
Okay. Did you evaluate other CRM solutions, and how did you decide on Salesforce versus Microsoft Dynamics or other applications?
We had Salesforce out of the gate. That was probably the first piece of software that we purchased as a company when we got a little bit larger. And it was kind of a no-brainer. Nice in Contact integrated with Salesforce. It was kind of like a match made in heaven for us. So there wasn't much that we needed to do. And there was never a conversation of looking at another CRM to integrate with that.
What's your agent feedback been so far?
So agent feedback's been really good. I don't think we've had very many problems since the rollout. Maybe with certain interactions, but for the most part, from a user perspective, they love it. It makes their job and lives easier. They don't have to do as much manual entry. Just being able to have everything pop up for them is really been beneficial. I'd say if they had to probably change anything, it was involved with their workforce management and just being able to look at their schedules. That's why we're moving towards putting that into their Salesforce agent as well. So,
okay. Does the activity in Salesforce open during the call or post-call at disconnect?
Does the activity open during post-call? So they
Is the activity in Salesforce, yeah.
Okay, so they have to manually input that. So they're actually going to go to the top of the screen and they'll click activity history and manually log their call. However, with the integration that tracks the call with the master contact ID, that gets put in at the end of the call after it disconnects. So they'll be able to track that in kind of a separate line in the activity history.
Okay. I don't see any other new questions coming in. So just before we close out, I just want to let people know that we do have a very brief survey after the Q&A ends, just asking for your feedback on the session. It should only take about a minute to complete, so we'd really appreciate your feedback. It's very important to us. So I just want to thank everyone for their great questions. Freddie and Sonia, thank you again for presenting your great story. And giving your insights on how a CXone agent for Salesforce helped your company. And thanks everybody for attending today, and we hope you have a great day.
Thanks everybody. We appreciate it.
Thanks everyone.
Have a good rest of the day. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.